Hey there, it's Andre Johnson here with Deal Finders Friday. We are here to discuss a new client case study and just really excited for them. It's been a very quick pace in terms of them taking action and joining our Deal Finders Challenge. They just recently attended our Deal Mastery Bootcamp this past weekend. They being, and you'll get to the introduction here in a second. We have Reese Pennington here heading up our Deal Closures division. How you doing, Reese?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, man.
And we have Liz and Dominic McCreary. How you guys doing?
We're great.
Good. So, like I said, new clients, they're here with us to talk about their direct-to-seller marketing campaign, some of, lessons learned, some of the opportunities, some of the negotiations, maybe even get into a pending contract that's out there. So we'll dig into their campaign, and they're working with Reese again, who heads up our Deal Closures division with Deal Mastery. So why don't we go ahead and throw it over to you, Liz and Dominic, just to tell people who you are as investors, your experience level, and then what you're looking to get out of real estate in general, and specifically direct-to-seller marketing.
Well, great. Thanks so much, Andre and Reese, for having us on here. This is my husband, Dominique. I'm Elizabeth, as Andre said. I go by Liz. And so basically, we decided about a year and a half ago that we wanted to be real estate investors for family purposes, just wanting to give a great, leave a legacy, all the reasons why we want to be financially free. But then we have longer term goals on ways to get back to the community. But through that journey, I came across Deal Meetups, which is Andre's group. And I've been following him, but I hadn't really joined him. But then he offered a boot camp, and that kind of got me sparked. And there was a 30-day challenge that I jumped in on. And after attending the boot camp, I wanted to keep going. And I got to know Reese and his deal closer division. And it just seemed like all the stars were aligning with what it is that we needed at this juncture of our business.
Sounds good. And so what we try to do with Deal Mastery is really to provide a true business-oriented approach to real estate investing, if that makes sense. Because a lot of people out there, when I say people, whether it be trainers, educators, quote unquote gurus or mentors, they try to make real estate investing sound so easy, and how you can get in at the dark of night with no money down and just have all the money raining down on you with all these great cash flowing properties. And it just doesn't work that way in the long haul. You really have to have your business set up, your real estate investing business set up as a business, with your sales and marketing, your operations, including people that work for you, admins, virtual assistants. And then you have to have people that you're partnered with, like professional service providers that, can execute for you in parts of your business. And of course, you have to be, funded to make sure that you can cover, your working capital needs and your operating expenses. And so these are the things that we try to make sure that our Deal Mastery clients are set up with when they go about saying they want to be a real estate investor. And part of that is making sure you have direct-to-seller marketing campaigns that are well thought out, well planned, and that you have the resources to, of course, convert on them and turn those leads into, hopefully close deals. So, Reese, why don't you take it from here and kind of talk about, your initial jumpstart call with the McCrearys and, how you went about, starting to help them execute, on their campaign.
Yeah, so they jumped in through this past weekend's boot camp, and we got on a call, I believe it was like Monday or Tuesday, right after that. We're able to discuss really what they were looking to do inside their business, talked a lot about wanting to wholesale, build up that capital, and wanting to, get into some group homes to be able to give back while still making some cash flow at the same time. But one of the key things that I thought was great is they already had the funnel, and they already had an ongoing campaign that was already producing leads. They had just started like a week and a half, 2 weeks before jumping on with Deal Closers. So as soon as we had that conversation, I told them, I was like, all because we have our dedicated deal VA for deal closers. Her name's Jane. She's awesome. So I immediately told Jane, I said, hey, look, if we can just pivot and work on Liz's funnel, because they have some leads going out and I want to try to get them on the calendar as soon as possible. We actually had 3 calls yesterday. One of them, the first one, not so good. The guy wanted a whole lot of money and wasn't in great shape. But the second call that we had, the guy was actually pretty interesting. He had a little bit more of a dominant personality, but it was one of those very rare cases where we were able to get an agreement for sending over paperwork and locking that deal up right over the phone on the first call, which happens 2% of the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So we're
very special. Yeah, absolutely.
A round of applause. I mean, that's a great thing.
Yeah, I preach so much that the money is always in the follow-up, because it is, but this does also happen too. So it should be celebrated. It should be.
So don't expect this to happen all the time, Dominique and Liz. So were you either of you or both of you on the call with Reese and the seller when it happened?
We both were.
Oh, so that's fantastic. So not every time is Reese able to have the deal finder, our client, on the phone at the same time, because sometimes your schedule just doesn't allow it, which is the beauty of deal closers, is that, deal closers, can close deals while you learn. But it is awesome that you were actually on the call, when it happened. So why don't you share from your experience, in your perspective, how the call went? First of all, where's the property located? You don't have to give the full address. Maybe the street name and city. Where's it located? What type of property is it? And then just kind of talk through the negotiation and just how the call went.
Well, actually, I was surprised how seamless it was. Reese kind of coached us on how we should do the introduction, and then join Reese into the call to kind of be the actual deal closer through the whole negotiation process. And just like you said, I was completely surprised that the guy was very interested. He's a business owner, so he doesn't have time for his properties. And I think that was one of the key indicators, is that he just kept saying, well, I'm going to do the repairs so that I can get somebody else in there. But ultimately, he just didn't have the time. And so the fact that Reese was able to let him know, hey, we can work out a deal where you don't have to worry about the repairs, and you can, basically still be a landlord, but not worry about managing the property. So it was really a great experience. It was, because like you said, the first call, not so much, kind of more of what I was expecting for at least the first few calls. But then the second call, it was kind of mind blowing.
So let's Dominic.
No, I was gonna say I was more impressed with Reese being cool under pressure, because the guy, the first guy on the call, the guy kind of tried to play, bully ball a little bit, and I think Reese kind of bullied him back a little bit, and they kind of both became alpha male and had to understand, okay, we're both on the same playing field. And I think from there, and the guy understood that, we had the background knowledge, we knew the terminology when it comes to real estate and terms and stuff like that. He was more receptive to what we had to say, more inclined to hear about some of the different ideas as far as trying to, negotiate the deal. So that it's not only, beneficial for us, but beneficial on him, for him on the background. On the back end as well.
But it was also helpful because the way that Reese's line of questions, it actually opened up where when he was asking about, well, what kind of repairs do you need done? How is the functionality of the house? How are the plumbing and the electric and all that kind of stuff? And through some of those conversations or some of those questions, it led to, there we had some break-ins and they stole my AC compressor. I have it, but I haven't installed it. So, when you're thinking about the repair costs of what that could look like in factoring those costs, that it was impressive too, not only how Reese was able to get on the same level of playing field, but he also built that rapport with the line of questioning. And then at the end, they were chumming it up as if they had known each other for a while, talking about, other properties or where they've lived, and they actually had a lot in common. So I will say that just overall in that one call, it was very impressive.
So that's very good to hear. And so that really is, what you get when you leverage someone else's experience, right? So you didn't have to trip and fall and make mistakes, and ultimately in the game of real estate, let the fish off the hook, right? Because you threw out some bait, are you selling message, and if you didn't have the experience with you that Reese has, you might have let that seller off the hook, and they would have been off, and some other investor, some broker or agent would have scooped them up, and they'd be their client. So congratulations on that. But before we get to any more details, I just want people to understand, this wasn't luck per se by you actually, happening to talk to the seller. You targeted
Part of the process for sure.
It was a potentially highly motivated seller. So was this person part of an absentee or vacant list that you were targeting?
Yeah. So when I initially signed up for the funnel and I did my intake sheet, I targeted particular areas through the advice that you give, which is basically, we wanted to target Prince George's County because we live in Prince George's County. We know it well. But we also wanted to target Baltimore City because we knew that there were a lot of areas that were up and coming and being developed, and it's just a great market. So this particular property was in Baltimore City, and it had a water view, and it was a row house. It's if I remember correctly, and Reese chime in at any time, I believe it was like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath standard row house. Who he's rented it out in the past before, but ultimately I think it was all about timing. So when you talk about luck, I think it was just about timing that we happened to get the right list that he was on, because he was on it was considered a vacant owner list or absentee owner, but he ultimately is a landlord, so he rents it. And that's how his name came up in my list for the targeted area and the type of market that we were looking at.
So you nailed pretty much everything except for one thing. It definitely was not luck. Okay. Because you were targeting an owner that was an absentee owner, meaning he was an investor who didn't live at the property. And also a lot of times an absentee owner, thereby being an investor owner, owning a property for a specific period of time, 5, 10, more likely 10 plus years, they become tired landlords. And so this is what we call profiling in terms of creating your targeted list. And it creates a higher response, a higher likelihood that you'll get callbacks, text replies, someone saying, okay, yeah, you're interested in buying my property, tell me more. And that's all you're looking for. You're looking for someone to express some interest. And of course, you have the skill set that Reese does to be able to qualify that person as their motivations after they get some basic information from a lead form. Then you get the results, that you got, which is fantastic. So, Reese, you want to chime in?
Yeah. So one of the cool things about the conversation that the guy started off just kind of like talking over me and talking about how he wanted this price, and if we can't do that, then there's no, and was basically starting to say goodbye. And I was like, listen, man, why don't you give me a second to talk before you just assume that I can't give you the price? And he was like, oh well, okay. So that was kind of where we had to, I had to kind of bring him down, and then we became kind of on like an even playing field, respect wise. So that way he started to listen. And what that really means, and what I kind of gathered from that, is that he has been he's been on other people's lists, and everyone else is offering him, your standard cash offer, which is way below what he has on the mortgage. So this guy, he's had the house for a while, and then he went ahead and refinanced and took all the equity out of the house. So now the biggest benefit of what we structured for him is this guy just recently took all the equity out of the house, and now we are going to take over those payments. So he got all of that money tax free, and now we are going to make those payments. So I mean, it's a great deal for him.
Yeah.
And so the property, is it cash flow existing in current state, or do you have to do some type of, eviction improvements, or what's the situation with the cash flow?
So the property is vacant. The condenser needs to be re-put into the house. He said he does have that, so we are going to get that. And the kitchen needs to be finished. He was saying somewhere around like $17,000 for the kitchen, which is like a huge red flag for a townhouse. So that's why I was kind of like digging a little bit deeper to see, why it was so much if he's including some other stuff. Yep. And what we're doing is we're sending over paperwork with a light inspection period on there to be able to get into the property.
Perfect. That's perfect. So all this was done virtually, I guess?
All over the phone.
All over the phone?
All over the phone.
The lead came in from your Deal Finders Challenge campaign. You had the DOVA send out the initial contract. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then, then you took over the negotiating and closing portion, spearheaded by Reese. And then, of course, you guys had a three-way call that resulted in the final price and terms. So that's really, really cool. Is this a property you're looking to keep to add to your portfolio? Is this something you're going to wholesale? What is your desired exit strategy?
So I think our exit strategy for this one, we're going to wholesale. Okay. I think initially probably over, the next 6 to 12 months, our initial strategy will be to do a lot of wholesaling to help build up our capital. So we can eventually, do some fix and flips or some buy and holds as well. But like you said, this wasn't luck. It was exciting. So, we're looking forward to doing 2, maybe 5 deals like this a month if possible. But of course, that's going to take as much work as we put into it to get that out of it. So,
that's exactly what it is. I just want to add that the motivation that we had to really take our business to the next level, because like I said, we started a year and a half ago. And when I say started, we laid the groundwork, did all the business entity stuff, did a lot of research about what kind of strategies we did want to do when it came to marketing. We hear a lot about the postcards and mailers and stuff, which we thought would actually be a strategy. But, now finding and going through the Deal Finders funnel, doing an actual texting campaign, the speed of everything is more of the pace that we really wanted to get at. And I think that's what really drove us and made it exciting, is because I wasn't expecting to get at least, we have another call set up, right, Reese, tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So we've got four leads that we're able to get on the phone in less than a week. And that's a lot of that is because of the funnel. A lot of that is because of us managing it and being on top of it and putting a lot of time. And when I say a lot of time and effort, it's not like if you want a part-time gig here and there, and you want to just make a little bit of money here and there, this is not it. If you're really in it, and I personally, we're both 9-to-5ers. But at the end of the day, I would love to be able to kind of just do this full time. He's got an excellent job. So we're going to keep that one. But
I love how she said he has an excellent job, but we're going to keep it. That's classic right there.
You go ahead and keep working. I got it.
Yeah. So I'll get all the play money and he can go ahead and keep the ticket stuff. So
I'll fund the operation.
Yeah, there you go. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So ultimately, that's what it is. I've been putting a lot of time and effort, because it does take a lot of time and effort, quite honestly, to go through once you put a campaign out and you want to follow every single lead or not even just a lead, all of the texting that has gone out and following the conversations, because you never know, there might be that glimmer that's shining in there and you just got to dig a little bit, but it takes time and effort. So I spent a lot of time just reading each one of those. And then I just kept telling my husband, I was like, I can do all this upfront legwork, which I think I'm mastering, quite honestly, but how do we get past the fear of actually picking up that call and knowing what to say and feeling confident about what we're going to say? And that's where Reese and his Deal Closers team came in. They took away that anxiety and allowed us to kind of sit back, learn as we go, but profit along the way.
That's awesome.
That phone gets really, really heavy when you're not really sure of what to say, or you're like, it's that phone reluctance, man. Yeah, I've definitely experienced it myself. But
and so what happens is, unfortunately, with the nature of direct to seller or direct to consumer marketing, is that the consumer, and we've all been on the other side, right? We've all been on the side where the telephone rings. You look at the caller ID, you don't know who it is, it's not a friend, it's not family, and you pick up, your guard is up, you're just ready for battle, right? So we've all been there. So we know how it is when you get a cold call or, that first engagement with someone you don't know. And it's really tough to pull back that veneer, to build a rapport. And ultimately, that's usually the difference between, getting the property under contract and not, because people are going to wind up doing business with people they know, like, and trust. And if you can build rapid rapport, then that seller, whether it's a male or female, and quite honestly, it's not a gender thing. I mean, male or female, everyone's on guard when they get a cold prospecting call. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm really happy that you guys, brought Reese on board, his Deal Closures team. And it sounds like you guys are off to a rapid, fast start, to your direct to seller marketing campaigns. And like Reese started off the call, the money's in the follow up. So although, you got a quick taste of success on one of your first few calls, make sure you continue to nurture and follow up with every single opportunity in your pipeline. Anything not categorized as dead is alive. And I mean that literally and figuratively. You have to keep following up with all the non-dead leads until they either say, stop contacting me, or it's dead because it's already been sold.
Right.
I'll add one last thing. I actually saw in one of the messages that through the VAs kind of going back and forth, just trying to get some information about the property. Initially, the person thought it was a scam. And so that's where I feel like I went in and I actually said, no, I'm sorry, you think this is a scam. I'm a real estate investor in your area. I would just really love to jump on a call and tell you more. So I'm hoping that maybe even some of that kind of, but that's what you got to do. You got to pay attention to those messages, because to what you just said, Andre, that it's never a dead lead, even if they think that it's a scam, unless you allow it to be a dead lead.
Right.
Exactly.
So true.
So true. So any final words, Reese? I'm looking forward to actually, once you guys get this thing to where you want it to be under contract and controlled, it'd be nice to actually to go inside the seller sales call on this one, and maybe even have, both of you, Dominique and Liz, on the call with Reese and kind of break down the call itself, maybe on a future.
I actually broke down that call this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the 11 a.m. live, you'll be able to see that video on Buy Baltimore's page, my page, and then I'm going to share it to the Deals Meetup page also.
All right.
So
Sounds
we're
good.
break that down. Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Any final words from you, Dominique or Liz? Anything that you'd like to share with anyone watching this? Put yourself in the shoes of someone watching this. It's not on the other side where you are, and maybe give them some words of encouragement or reasons why they should join Deal Mastery.
Yeah, absolutely. Just stay motivated. Don't become complacent. Because like you see, a lot of folks see success at the beginning. They kind of get comfortable. So you want to get comfortable being uncomfortable, which is what we've been for the past year and a half. And it's a good thing. As you can see, she just let out a big exhale because of that. But we found a lot of success, working with you, Andre, and Reese, and helping to automate some of the processes. We did a lot of learning, and we've been at that point now where we're ready to take action. As you can see, we're starting to take that action. So I'll just do a little plug at the end too, because we're Envision Property Solutions. So if you guys want to connect with us, you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook. It's at M as in Mary Vision PS. And you can visit our website as well, www.mvisionps.com.
Love it.
I love it. Liz, anything?
Oh, no, I actually think my husband said it very eloquently. The only, I think I will say, that I always got something to say. I think the one thing that I will say is, some of the fear that we had to do with investing in ourselves. And yes, that comes with a dollar value, but ultimately there is a lot of satisfaction and reward knowing that you are ultimately investing in ourselves and it's not somebody else that's making money off of our efforts. And the harder we work, the more, the further along we'll be able to go. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how far it'll take us.
Well, fantastic. Super excited for you guys. Tremendous success to you both moving forward. And there's no reason to think that, your cash flow goals that you have for your portfolio and the future flip goals you have won't come to fruition even sooner than you expect, with the work ethic and the determination and perseverance you guys have. So we'll be seeing you guys soon at an upcoming event. Those of you watching, I encourage you to go to dealsmeetup.com. Deals Meetup is in 45 plus markets right now. We have 45 plus Deals Meetup networks across the country. And check us out at dealfindersfunnel.com. And you'll get more information about our Deal Finders Funnel and challenges that we have for you to find your first or next deal in the next 30 days. All right. With that, we're going to sign off and we will see you all soon. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.